Yes, Kampala TV 256 kwena muganda nga baditana bakubanga subscribinga nja kusaba olunaku lwaleero obeere nga subscribinga ate gwe commenting o liking. Olunaku lwaleero amawulire geeyongedde okuvaayo ku side ya President Yoweri Kaguta Museveni si birungi. America bongedde omuwaako report. Bino nno byaddiridde olukuŋŋaano bagiyite convention Kyagulanyi ne banne lwe baategese mu ggwanga lya America. Bano basuubizza Museveni okumusalako obuyambi. Byazze akola byonna oliriza lipoota eno gwe muganda ng'ogenda kutegeera ddala kiki ekiddako eri President Yoweri Kaguta Museveni. Olw'ensonga bingi byazze akola bazze bamugoberera. Oliriza lipoota eno abazungu nga bagimuwaako ate gwe atanaba.
Lawlessness and crime are an indirect result of the inability of Museveni to create order and prosperity. As of Monday, August 5th, 2024, the United Nations has reported that a report from the BBC News, a rapidly escalating crisis of M23 and Rwandan Defense Forces troops in Uganda are passing through the territory of Uganda. There was a report of Ugandan military intelligence officers in the Congolese town of Bunagana since late 2023, quote, to provide logistics and transport M23 leaders to M23 controlled areas. But contrary reports from the Uganda deputy military spokesman, Deo Akiki, told Reuters news agency that the allegations of the report were false because it would be mad for us to destabilize the same area. We are sacrificing it all to have stable. Contradictory news reports can be part of the misinformation campaign. Somewhere in between is the truth. Democratic Republic of the Congo Foreign Minister Therese Kaweddemu Wagner said she was concerned by the allegations of collusion between the Ugandan army, M23, and the Rwandan army. She said the issue would be brought up with Uganda because DR Congo has been fighting in a joint offensive against another terrorist group, the Islamic State-linked Allied Democratic Forces. They attack both countries. The continued presence of Islamic terrorist activity in the Central African region is alarming, as it shows the potential spread of a different type of player in the region, originating in Sudan, Somalia, and Iran. This is a strategic opportunity which Western and United States affiliates should monitor at the early stages and get involved. Because we're a little short on time, I could talk about agricultural production. It's 56% of the country's economy. But there are untapped reserves of oil and natural gas. There's something that's going to happen soon that could change things. This poverty may soon change. You know, there are only 3 cars for every 1,000 inhabitants in Uganda. But something that's going to happen is the creation of the East African crude oil pipeline, the longest heated oil pipeline in Africa. It's going to happen. It's under construction now. It's going to be put in place in 2025. You can look it up. There's a great video from a great news report from BBC on the East African crude oil pipeline. I recommend that you all watch it. Originally, the pipeline was going to cross Kenya, but Kenya's proximity to Somalia worried pipeline developer authorities from potential terrorist activity from this Islamic terrorist group, Al-Shabaab, operating in Somalia. This is another example of even perceived interruptions caused by terrorist activity in the region are negatively impacting growth and development in the region. With the Iranian-backed Houthi rebels attacking an ever-increasing number of commercial maritime transport ships, the U.S. Navy is increasing its presence in the Red Sea to protect international shipping. And I'd like to move away from some of the problems and talk about the process of the solution. The United States does show immediate concern for most global petroleum resource issues. That's a strategic value to the United States. Now the price of goods coming from China going to Europe has been increased 70% because they can't go through the Red Sea up through Cairo anymore. They have to go around South Africa because the Houthi rebels have taken control, in effect, of the Red Sea, and the United States Navy is not ready to go into a full-scale war against the Iranian-backed Houthi rebels. Education and leadership training is critical so that people will feel empowered, so they'll know that they can help break the barriers and the invisible walls of fear and realize that we are on the threshold of change. The American Leadership class, of which Dr. Sajija, Professor Katie, Professor Tim Stefanski, and myself have been actively teaching leadership classes and business communication classes for the past 2 years via video conference, and we have graduated many students in Africa. Many students. It helps them to build their knowledge, writing skills, and understand and be empowered to be better leaders in their own respective communities. One of those things is to get involved with law enforcement. The level of crime, as you know, is also uncomfortably high. But one of those issues is drug trafficking, a very lucrative business. Kidnappings and slow response times of police and emergency services are also fraught with inadequacies because they're understaffed. There are rebel terrorist groups that have a marginal presence in the area and need to be controlled. One such violent rebel force is the Allied Democratic Forces. They do oppose the Uganda government, but they are affiliated with the Islamic fundamentalist group, Al-Shabaab. That's an important distinction. Even though there's good news, environmental tourism brings in close to $2 billion worth of business into Uganda every year. Museveni continues to rule and do so by placing political dissidents behind bars and turning a cold eye to human rights offenses. Later in my talk, I go through the U.S. Constitution and I talk about the amendments. The First Amendment, which is freedom of speech. I go through the Second Amendment, the right for individual citizens, yes, even women, anyone over the age of 15 can bear arms. All these different issues of constitutional rights in the United States are important. And it would be good to realize and look at those constitutional amendments. I wish I had time to do each one here today. But as I understand that coming from Massachusetts and coming from my background as a son of the American Revolution, I had 4 family members that fought in the American Revolution. And they fought because they had not just a better cause, they had the reasons that were based in the inalienable rights of good men and women to do what was right. They fought against tyranny. In my hometown of West District, Massachusetts, the second largest British army came ashore, and within 1 week, they took 10,000 sheep, 700 cows, and pigs to feed the second largest army that had sailed into our harbor. And they took them all in 1 week. That type of control and tyranny is something that is a family history. We know that. That's in our background. You too have family members and friends that have been wrongfully incarcerated for speaking the truth, speaking what is right. But I know that even at the time, 200 years ago, during the American Revolution, the British Army and British Navy were the most powerful in the world. And yet, it was those rebels from my family heritage, from Massachusetts, from other states, that came together. Many times they met at a place called the Green Dragon Canteen. That's where John Adams and many other American patriots would meet. And then they decided, they wrote a constitution, they put everything together, and then they played it out, and they fought. and they fought, and they won. I hope that as the conference continues today, that you will hear things that will empower you to bring forth your stories and how you can visualize a future Uganda and incorporate more of the constitutional amendments that we have and how they need to be understood. And the people need to be taught what we have here and why America works because of these freedoms. Thank you very much. People power.
Our power.
Our power.
People power.
Thank you. Thank you.
Amazing.